Hey everybody, welcome back to the Caves Cast podcast. I'm Jeremy,
And I'm Ryan.
and this week we're going to be talking about Avengers Twilight issue number 2 or book 2, I guess.
Sure.
Um the how do you okay, before we get into it, like how do you feel about this issue compared to the first, I guess?
Um, I love it. I'm still really enjoying it. Just because it really is going on this that type of story that there's a Frank Miller Captain America book. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this feels like Frank Miller. Just Chip Zdarsky's just playing the hits. He's playing the hits of
Yeah.
dystopian future. Things are screwed up. I like it just because it has a very good. It's pretty much in the vein of Frank Miller even more because it has a commentary on today. Like this is
Right.
like the dystopian future if we keep going down the path we go down. Like
Right. I mean like and like the first example that that I can think of is like you have these floating screens, like holographic screens. You have like in the first issue, you had people walking around with like the like the Apple Vision goggles.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like the future is now.
yeah,
So I the only reason I asked that is because I didn't like this issue as much as the first.
right,
I I don't know. There was just something about it that was like, and I think it's more so the ending, I think, than anything else.
right.
But we'll get to that. A couple
Yeah.
other things that I'm just like, oh, so about, you know? Um,
Right. Just because like I mean there is like a new villain in here where I'm like, "Oh, that came out of nowhere."
yeah, yeah.
So if anything, that caught me a bit off guard and I'm like, "Oh, we're kind of it's kind of
Mm,
weird because the first one set it up so well that this one is like, oh, we're taking it this way now. And you're like,
yeah.
you know,
I mean, it kicks off kind of how we expected it to, you know. Cap is in action now.
yes,
He's
sir.
like helping out the homeless, the downtrodden, and it's just a quick 2-page scene of him like back in the armor, back in the suit, telling the people it's gonna be okay. I'm here.
Right.
It's time to fight back, I guess. And then we go to this like I can't. It's a diner. It's a diner, right?
I would say so. Yeah, it's like a diner.
It kind of looks like a diner. Um, Luke is in there and he's just overhearing some conversation about how Cap is back and all that. And then like it that's the other thing too is like they don't this issue doesn't really waste any time. Like it just kind of goes like page to like it just kind of goes from beat to beat to beat to beat.
Right.
And then we jump straight back into the underground, like where the defenders hideout is, and they're kind of like discussing things and like what we need to do and what the plan is. And then he
And basically,
Rosa. Sorry, go ahead.
Steve's boo thing shows
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
Rosa shows up. And we had kind of thought that maybe there was more to her, you know? It seems like there's not. It
Yeah.
seems like pretty much just his girl.
Yeah.
And she knows all about his past, about his history, but she doesn't want him to get back into it. So she's like over it. So she like dumps him.
Well, I think that's the reason we probably like the first issue a lot more too, because we had a lot of theories on which
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we speculated on where
And I
this
mean,
could go, where this could go, where this could go, and now we're
it,
finally seeing where the pieces are falling, and we're
yeah, I don't think it's too late for something like that to happen. Like she could like, get kidnapped or
right,
it could be any number of things that they touch on with the classic like superheroes love interest is in danger, kind of
right,
thing. But we'll see. I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then right after that, we go to James and Jarvis basically telling the president like, "Hey, Cap is back, so we got to call in some heavy hitters." And then so the president's like, "We should call in the Avengers, right?"
right.
And he's all like, I thought this was funny when Jarvis was like, "The last thing we need is some accidental footage of our Captain America punching a geriatric soldier."
Right.
And I'm just like, it's so like it's funny how they like they almost just like talk down to the heroes of the past. Like they don't care, you know?
Yeah.
He's all like, oh, the last thing we need is our guy to punch an old man, you know,
Yeah.
and we have filmed.
Like even though he's Captain America, he's washed up. We don't need that image,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And then they say, we'll send in the Thunderbolts. See, and I was honestly expecting Thunderbolts. You know what I mean? Like I was expecting some like actual classic Thunderbolts characters. It's just a group of like military specialists, which
Yeah.
it's okay.
Like I was
It
thinking
makes
like
me
maybe
wonder if
it's
they're
like Betty Ross is in charge, maybe Jenna Ross is dead or something like that, you know, like it's no,
yeah.
it's
I
just
It makes me wonder if this is kind of like a tease, you know, and maybe because one of the characters says a legend like that or got that guy's like a legend. My dad served because of him. You know, like that could just be like a throwaway line,
right.
but it makes me wonder if like these Thunderbolts are like the children of previous Thunderbolts, you know, people that have been in the Thunderbolts.
Right.
I would like that because then it kind of adds like a sense of legacy to it.
Yeah.
But I also, and this is like kind of one of my complaints is like if you're gonna send in like if you're gonna name drop the Thunderbolts, at least make it like because like even in present day, the Thunderbolts like from Devil's Reign or the Thunderbolts that are are like U.S. Agent or like other characters, you know,
Bucky.
yeah, like characters that actually have names that aren't just random soldiers. Like I think that was like my issue is like if you're gonna name drop the Thunderbolts, just give me some Thunderbolt characters.
Yeah, they don't really go into the teams too much because it's
No.
like even right now we're just kind of seeing snippets of the young like the new Avengers that are young.
Hmm.
We don't really go into them too much yet. It's
Yeah.
it's more or less just kind of like we're still setting up the background of what James Stark. It seems like he is the one that's behind the scenes puppeteering and or at least trying to be in the
Yeah. 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 Definitely. There, there's definitely more I think than kind of than what's been revealed so far.
yeah.
So, and with it being like a almost like a political like almost like a thriller, I guess you could say, in terms of like the dastardly stuff they're doing behind the scenes and like
Right.
you
Well,
know
it's also touching. I can't help but like keep pointing out like Zdarsky has something to say about America right now. Like, and this is
yeah
basically going on. It's basically saying like, we're wanting to get rid of the old ways for this new way. With the way the political climate is right now, we're abandoning the old ways and we're going towards a very dark and
right
you know, basically only the rich will benefit from the way that this is going and
yeah I
the
mean
rich are
which
steering the direction of America.
right I mean which like whether you like subscribe to that or not like in your own political beliefs like it's really hard to ignore you
Yeah.
know but I mean regardless I this next part is probably my favorite part of the book.
Hmm.
Like we see like a mother getting her kids ready for school, doing all these like doing like the normal things a mom would do,
Right.
and then it's Captain America, like she hears a speech, you know on the TV, and then a voice from off panel says he gives a good speech, and it's Captain America come to recruit Kamala Khan.
Yep.
And she's kind of like you can't like I basically I can't. I have a family and I've moved on from that, and you can't ask me to do this. Like it's not fair. And
Which I think that's really cool that he picked Kamala to basically say like, hey, she was young here and now she's basically middle aged in this story.
right, and like and here's the thing is yeah, and she is like prime Avengers age. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like she should be an Avenger.
Right.
So like I'm interested to see like well obviously she has a family, so she might have given it up for that. But I wonder if she was forced to give it up. You know what I mean?
Right. But I think this is also Zdarsky being like, like Miss Marvel right now in the MCU, she's kind of the future. So let me kind of just put that in here.
Yeah, well, like, and and and, and a quick tangent for like Miss Marvel, but like when she first came around, she was hella popular, you
Yeah.
know, like she was fresh, she was new, she gave everybody that like classic Peter Parker feel, like, and even like the first few story arcs of her original run were like pretty much that, you know, it's
Right.
like struggling with getting powers, being a teenager, all these things like, and it mirrored the early Peter Parker years. So that's why
Yeah.
people really gravitated towards her. And then it kind of all of that kind of fell away.
I
You know,
would attribute that to G. Willow Wilson no longer doing the character. You
yeah,
know,
which
she
which is a
created her.
shame because like and she's always had a pretty good like bump every now and again, like when the champions started coming around again, when they had those two books in like was it 2019, 2021 or
Yeah.
whatever. So like she was like almost a leader for those teams. She was an actual Avenger, like there was a good period of time where she had a big push. But so I feel like that should be the case today. Like that should still be the case because she is still a really good character, and she fits a niche that a lot of Marvel characters don't, you
Right.
know. Like she's
Absolutely.
young, she's still in school, she's Muslim,
Hmm.
and then there's so many other factors. Like she has a unique power set. She's now, unfortunately, because they killed her and had to bring her back,
She's a
she's
mutant.
now both inhuman and mutant.
Right.
Like there is so much potential for her to be like one of Marvel's best characters, but it's just I don't think that they have that kind of confidence in her.
No.
I mean, so it sucks because she's probably one of the better new MCU characters also.
Absolutely.
But to see her get the put like to see her get a push and like not in the wrong direction, but also not in the right direction. She's just kind of like being moved around. It sucks because I
Yeah.
think she's interesting.
I do. I like her as a character a lot, and I think as much as I don't like what's going on in the MCU, I think she's a big light in the MCU. I think she's
Yeah.
probably one of the best parts of the MCU.
Yeah, no,
And
for sure. I mean, and that just helps when you have somebody that really likes the character and knows the character.
right.
So
Yeah, but I think it's so cool that we're seeing her as like a mom with something to
yeah,
lose here. Because before, when she's a kid, it's like, what does she really have to lose? She's learning,
yeah,
she's coming into her own, and
right,
now we're
and
seeing her at a point where she has a lot to lose.
right, and I was gonna say that too. Like this to put her like to age her up and give her something to lose. It makes the stakes feel more real
Hmm.
because all of the stakes have felt pretty real so far. Like
Right.
Matt didn't make it out of the end of issue one,
And
and
Peter, like
yeah,
this,
yeah, Peter died in H Day. Like
this is a
so,
dire and dark book, especially for
yeah.
Marvel's. Like this feels like a DC book for Marvel. Like
Yeah.
that's how
And
dark it
like
is.
Wasp, like we don't know if Wasp is dead or alive. She's only
Right.
been briefly mentioned. We know that Tony's in the tube
Is
with
he good
just
or
his
bad
head.
though? We don't know. We
Yeah,
don't
like
like
exactly, like is he being held against his will and is he's you know what I mean? Like it's it's a really bleak future.
yeah.
So like and it's while Kamala doesn't, directly accept his offer, we hear that she's kind of been doing this on the low.
Hmm.
Like she's got her radio on. There's like reports of people being like of someone helping people in the streets and doing these things and doing heroic stuff.
Right.
And Cap obviously probably knows that it's her. Um, what I did like this is like the Dark Avengers protocols are in effect if you need to get in touch. So
Right.
like it, I would like to see. I mean, and we might get this. Like, I would like to see when or how these protocols were kind of like why they needed to be made. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Because clearly, like this seems like something that they might have prepared for is like the world turning against them and them having to go underground, which it's not unheard of
Right.
because we kind of had that during Dark Reign and that era of the Avengers. But
Absolutely.
so and that's the other thing too is I feel like this mirrors a lot of different like Avengers eras.
Right.
Like he's taking inspiration from like the Bendis era, and like you can tell like there's some stuff from like the 2050 like 20 like post Secret Wars Wade era, and
Yeah.
then like with Kamala being on the team, and like it's cool because and this is kind of why I wish Zdarsky would have written like a main Avengers book
Right.
because he gets it, man. Like his Justice League last ride was pretty good.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I didn't he
So
do? Is this the only Avengers he's done? Avengers time?
yes.
Hmm. Yeah, I
Don't
wouldn't mind
quote me
him.
on that, but I think so. I think this is the only Avengers thing he's done.
I wouldn't mind him just doing an Avengers run. That would be
That's
cool.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I mean, unfortunately, he's now DC only, but
Right.
whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Um, so they're doing some big, it's like some big like parade, or is it like a rally of some kind? I think that's what it was, right? That's some big
Yeah.
rally, and the Thunderbolts are not the Thunderbolts, but the Defenders are out to do their thing. Oh yeah, they were gonna come up, and Steve was gonna make his speech, is what
Mhm.
it was.
Right.
So to kind of like rally the troops, and so everybody gets in position, they start to do their thing. You know, they the Defenders hijack the transmission, so Cap can do the speaking, and then the Thunderbolts show up
Right.
on the scene, and he where am I at? Oh yeah. So then he gets to the microphone, and this has all happened so fast, man.
Yeah,
Like it's just like
this is a
yeah,
very quick pace action.
yeah, which is nice because it just kind of like shows like the urgency of it all. It's like they're just trying to get it done quick, 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 and then Thunderbolts show up. Cap has to stall him for time so that way they can finish the connection. And then the
Right.
connection finishes and the thing gets blown out. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it worked. We're live. We're good. Let's go.
Right.
And so Cap starts his speech and trying to rally everybody, tell them like it doesn't have to be this way. Like you can be free. You don't have to like what they're doing isn't to protect you. Like this is they're just doing this to distract you, to keep you weighed down, like to keep you from seeing what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And I think it's the military that's like, hey man, like what are we gonna do? And it's like he's talking to James or Jarvis. I can't tell here. It looks like the one of the Jarvises.
Yeah. It's Jarvis.
Yeah. So then it's like, and Jarvis, these Jarvis brothers are interesting, man, because like they're obviously the like the masterminds of some of this.
Right.
But like even he says like because I think they're like saying like, oh, like what's he gonna do? Should we take him out? And
Right.
then Jarvis just responds with, I don't think that's necessary. He's doing a good enough job of it himself. He's just so confident. Like he knows that this isn't gonna work because he knows that the people don't want this. Or
Right.
they are so deep in the illusion that they're like in a safe, protected environment that's for them and is only for their benefit, when really it's just there to like take advantage of them. But they don't
Exactly.
see that.
Exactly. It's
So
kind of like the whole thing of like trying to change politics back before 2016 happened. Trying to change politics back to that, it's damn near impossible. You go on
yeah,
there, you try to talk about politics before 2016, and people aren't going to have it. They don't care. They're way past that at this point.
yeah, like and it mirrors a lot of today,
Mm,
with how we have so many luxuries and so many conveniences, but it comes at a cost. It might be monetarily, it might be some kind of moral cost, it doesn't matter, but like, and that's kind of the thing that this plays into, is that all of we have all of these things to offer you and all of these things for you to do and to have and to see and to touch and to all these things, but it's a distraction to like the bigger issues.
yeah.
But
Also, by the way, this whole like art during this action sequence is so Blade Runner. Like Daniel
yeah,
Kuhn did a very cool job,
it
a
was
good job with this.
good stuff, man.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him first pop up like during God of Thunder, like when he did the variant covers for that,
Yeah.
like the 1 in 25s or the 1 in 50s or whatever. Those things were tight, man.
Yeah.
I remember that was the first time I saw his art, and I was like, he's a good artist. He's
Yeah.
good.
I see why it took him so long to do this book because it's a beautiful looking book. This book looks
Yeah,
great. It looked
yeah.
great.
I would like to see more stuff by him,
Yeah.
because like I don't know that I've read much of anything that he's done art on, or like
Right.
if this might be one of the only things. But I don't know, man. He's got a really cool and unique art style. I would love to see him team up with somebody for like some kind of indie book.
Yeah. Me
You
too.
know, I am really looking forward to see his Thor in this though.
Oh yeah,
You know, they've been kind of teasing it a little bit in like in each issue.
yeah,
I'd say, and the Alex Ross design, dude, with like the helmet that's like got the horns up here,
so sick.
so sick, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's
I
so
just, I mean, and I already have the Acuna variants coming in, so it's Thor is the variant for issue number 4.
okay.
It's sick, dude. I can't wait.
Yeah, I saw Zdarsky say on like he did an interview and he basically said like if you don't want spoilers, solicitations suck and the covers will kind of give away where the story's going next. So if you don't want to be spoiled, don't look at the covers, don't look at the
Yeah.
solicitation. So but we're in that solicitation age where everything's basically the comic is
Dude,
basically
and
told to
and
you.
that's like crazy, and that's like crazy to me because like I feel like okay, um, like Venom for example, they've been revealing this like new version of Carnage for a couple months now.
Mhm.
It's a pretty big spoiler. Like
Oh,
again, like if you've been reading the book at all, even the design itself is a spoiler. Like
right,
if you look at the design and see his head, it looks just like another character that's been a villain in that book for 30 issues.
right.
Like, so why would you do that? Like, and that's what's crazy is like I would hide that reveal. Like,
Yeah,
and that's a pretty big reveal, man. Like, and like it's I won't spoil it here, but it's a character that we've been building up to and has had a lot of development.
right,
And so then it turns into like Carnage consumes him. It's like, dude, you could have done anything else.
right.
like just even if that like I like that. I like that idea, but don't spoil it.
Yeah,
Don't spoil it. Like you could have done that any other way. You know what I mean? Like you could have teased it in any other way, just like Carnage is coming back, and you
right.
could have done the classic black cover spoiler, like they used to do and stuff, like they did for Kamala and solicitations.
Right. But I mean it sucks because it's a necessary evil because we have to pre-order our books.
Yeah,
So we have to look at what's coming out. We have to look at this solicitation. So it's
yeah.
like
I just think there are ways to build the hype for some of these books without spoiling the big like moments.
I agree.
And they've done it in the past. Like shoot, man, I don't know. Like literally the Kamala series, was probably pretty well ordered.
Yeah.
But it was and Amazing Spider-Man 26. They didn't, it got leaked that Kamala died, and they never
Yeah.
revealed it.
Well,
You could, you know what I
I
mean?
think they said that like somebody in Marvel leaked it themselves. So it's like, why would you do that? Like,
Right, and like and whether or not that's actually the case, if it was an inside job and somebody leaked it, like Marvel the entity still decided to not say anything about it until release day. I think if you're trying to do like a big twist or like do something with a character that people enjoy,
yeah,
that kind of like diligence for keeping that thing under wrap should be across the board. Like I've been into one of my favorite books. I don't know that that's like the general consensus. If a lot of, I mean, some people for that I talk to seem to enjoy it also,
right.
but like, why should that book get a really really heavy, no spoilers? But Venom, which a book I really like, a lot of people seem to enjoy, doesn't get the same treatment, and it's a pretty big spoiler. Like I would argue it's probably the big like almost as big a spoiler as when we got the reveal of what the actual King in Black is.
Right.
Because it's just such a big it seems like such a weird thing to like throw on a cover other than just they want to prop up sales for it.
Right.
So and that's probably what it is, but it sucks because I we're in an age where spoilers are just everywhere. Like you can't
Yeah.
escape them. Like
Yeah.
set photos, script stuff, trailer leaks, like all these things, like you can't escape spoilers
Yeah.
anymore. So it almost seems like you have to just not like exist online to get out of a spoiler.
Right. Or if you're looking at solicitations, you got to kind of look at the artist, and
Yeah.
artist and writer and kind of judge and say, okay, do I want to read this or do I have to read the solicitation to see where it's going and then be spoiled?
Yeah. And like sometimes you don't even get that far. Sometimes it's just a cover,
Yeah.
you know? So whatever. And then the other thing too is like not to keep this tangent going, but it's like Marvel and DC both, they will spoil stuff like days after it comes out.
Right.
Days. And that's why like me personally, like I think like a week's time in
Yeah.
comic world is a pretty fair length of time, which is why like I try to post my comic of the week or those posts like a week out from its release or whatever,
Right.
because it gives people like a lot of time to go and read it and like, and if you're interested in that book, you're probably gonna read it that week.
Yeah.
So like it gives people enough time, so I'm not like dropping that shit like literally day one, like I just read it and look what happened. It's like,
Right.
and I even try to keep spoilers to a minimum, like in the text of the post. So it's like, come on, Marvel,
Yeah.
break,
Well,
man.
I think it's going back. We'll end the tangent after this, but I think it's going back to what Marvel is doing with Amazing Spider-Man. And they're just kind of dropping stuff to get people to
Yeah,
talk about it, whether it's good or bad. But people are talking about it, and that's what they want. They want people
right.
talking about it.
Yep,
So,
that's pretty much all they want. Yeah.
mhm.
All right. So yeah, back to the action scene.
Yes.
So now it's like a chase scene. Cap's kind of like gotten away. Some of the defenders have gotten away. The Thunderbolts are chasing them. Okay, so I missed this part last time. I must have missed this piece of dialogue because one of them says, "Bullseye, what are you doing?"
Yeah. I was about to ask you about
So
that. So this is like a new Bullseye
I
thing, or is this Bullseye's
and
kid?
exactly like that's why like I not that I retract what I said at the beginning. I still think it would be nice to have like show me them. Like if you
Yeah.
want to do the Thunderbolts, like why not have this like actually like make it a Bullseye costume?
Yeah.
If you want to do the armor, just do the armor, but put a logo,
Or at
like
least just put
like
a little thing on the helmet.
spice it
Like
up a little bit. You know
put a
what I
little
mean?
Bullseye thing on the helmet.
Yeah, like spice it up a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think that also maybe goes in hand with the like there's this propaganda around the Avengers right now
Right.
in this book that's like these are the heroes. These are the costumed heroes. So maybe it's a government thing and they're just like and it could be a by story design, you
Right.
know. And Zdarsky's just like, no, like the reason the Thunderbolts are this way is because they're just like military assets.
Right.
They don't have their own identity. They're not heroes. They're not anti-heroes. They're not former villains. They're not all these things. It's just they're military assets and they do their job.
Right.
And it kind of separates them because if I was a Thunderbolt, man, I'd be pissed. Like honestly, like where's my recognition? I have to do all these like high stakes, like all low profile missions and nobody knows about me.
Right.
Joe Schmo in the Iron Man suit that's not a Stark that we know of gets all the glory.
Yeah. Which is crazy because we go into this whole next part with
Yeah.
Jarvis and James.
Yeah.
Basically, Jarvis is basically saying, like you're destined to be Iron Man.
It's
Like
time for
you,
you to put on the armor, basically, right?
right? And he's basically saying, like basically and this is like pretty crazy, just because it's. I still love the idea that Janet is the mother. I think that was
Yeah.
such a cool little curveball for the story. But basically, he says Tony Stark and Janet Van Dyne didn't sire a fool, and I didn't raise a coward to James.
Do you think this Jarvis had a hand in their deaths?
Yes.
Well, I mean, we based on the next page, you know,
Yes.
with the reveal that Jarvis has been talking to Ultron,
Yes.
who is not dead, who is just who is probably one of the masterminds behind all of the technology and the way that the world is going right now.
Right.
That's really easy to assume. AI. He's touching on AI, which is really prevalent these days.
Yep.
And then we get another reveal that this Jarvis is actually Red Skull.
Yes.
So it is probably very likely that he had a hand in Tony and Janet's and probably the downfall. It's probably these two working together.
Right. Because it kind of goes back to the first issue where it was alluded, where propaganda is changing and the Red Skull is the one that is like a hero. And Cap's
Yes.
like, that's not true. That's not what happened. Like,
Right. And now with these two teaming up. But like you kind of get panels from like back during H Day.
yeah.
And it's just a shield agent and he's like going through the rubble, like scanning people like Doctor Strange, and then he takes his mask off and it's Red Skull and he
Yeah.
finds the Ultron head. Um in very classic Marvel fashion, these two are definitely going to backstab each other.
Absolutely.
It just remains to be seen when.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting that he's tackling both this like AI thing and also like the really, really heavy-handed like political propaganda
Oh yeah.
at the same time, because it's almost like who's gonna rule the world at the end of it all? Is it gonna be machine or is it gonna be like the most awful version of man?
Right.
So like, which is kind of almost like where we're headed,
Exactly. Like the
you know?
rich are basically all taking the
Yeah.
power, it's all
Right.
happening.
It's I don't know, and I don't like political drama. Like
Right.
not like I like the genre, but I think in like my real like in my life, like just my day-to-day life, I hate talking about politics. I hate, like I hate even like seeing a bunch of shit about it all the time, every single day. Like I understand it's like a necessary evil. But
Right.
like at the end of the day, like we like America has been so consumed by it. Like it's just stressful, man.
It
But
is.
it's weird because like I know people make the argument, well, I don't want politics in my comic books because I escape it with comic books.
Right.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Me neither.
I think that comic books are a really good outlet for political commentary, but also in a way to make people realize that hey, maybe some of the things that you believe in or that I believe in aren't as black and white as we think.
I mean, that's like people saying I don't like 1984 because it's political, right? I mean, it's a cautionary tale, and this is a
Yeah,
cautionary tale.
exactly. Yes, like
Kingdom
exactly.
Come is a cautionary tale. Like it's all basically saying, like, hey, we got to stop doing what we're doing, or we're going to go down this path. Like,
Right. And I think that's where like people miss the point is like they get so focused on it being political and they're not actually focusing on what the story is trying to say.
right,
So like and comics are more political in its conception. It was
yeah,
made they were like they got their height during wartime,
right,
Shit, man. The golden age of superhero comics has Captain America punching a Nazi in the like Hitler in the
yeah.
face.
Let's go
Like
with the
it doesn't
X
get
Men.
more
Everything
it
about
doesn't
civil rights with the X Men. Let's go.
yes, like
Let's
they don't get more political than comic books. But again, it's not about the politics, it's about the characters in them and
exactly.
how it reflects like humanity and the real world in a
Yeah,
way that's like not it doesn't tend to like provoke violence or hate or all these things that if you were to say these things in real life,
right,
it would cause a lot of problems for a bunch of people. But like when you do it in a medium that's one fake, two under the guise of superheroes and action and all of these things and doing and good and evil,
hmm
like it almost becomes like profound for some people. And that's why we love comics.
exactly.
So like I like political stuff in my comics when it's done tastefully.
Right.
Because
I get.
there is also like a distasteful way to do it as well.
Oh yeah. I mean,
So
look at like Frank Miller's Dark Knight Strikes Again. That's all 9/11 propaganda, and it's absolutely awful. So
and then,
it's
yeah, and if people didn't like Golden Child either, like that
no,
just went so far into the wrong direction with that
yeah,
kind of so
yeah,
like but to wrap things up, you know, I didn't like this issue quite as much as the first one. I we were kind of expecting this like things to go this way for Cap because they're in a different age. So he's bummed out.
right,
He's pissed because it didn't work out the way that it had like he was expecting it to. But Luke is there to like, hey, like say, hey man, like we kind of expected it to go this way, but we still have to help them. Like this is
right.
like we still have to do the right thing.
But it's always interesting to see when they put Cap in this like hopeless place because he's
Yeah.
always the one like, no, 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 and he's like, I'm a
Yeah.
fool. They want to be fooled. Like they want this to be their reality.
And I honestly I think this is where Cap is at his best, man.
Yeah,
Like when his back is against the wall and all the chips are down, like this is when Cap shows like why he's Captain America.
right,
Because like and we're gonna see that. Like we're gonna see like why he's truly Captain America and why this new guy is just literally it's just a costume.
yeah,
It's just a role he plays,
yeah,
you know. I am interested to see like what's happened to Sam.
yeah. if he's
if he's
still around.
dead, or what happened with him and why he's not around. Um, but either way, issue ends up with Luke handing him the files to save Tony Stark
Yep.
from the tube because they've got that info. It looks like they got an inside man.
So it's going to
Um,
be probably a heist to get
yeah,
Tony's torso and vat.
yeah, it'll be cool, man. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see them kind of reunite if he's still alive
Right.
in there. So
And how he's might be changed throughout the years.
yeah,
He might react, and
yeah,
I'm really interested. This is like such an interesting story that
yeah. It's cool, man. I have the main Avengers book is good, but this is just like a different flavor, man. It's really
yeah,
good. It's interesting. It's I like the cast, so we'll see
yeah,
what happens, man. Issue
absolutely.
3 comes out what, 2 weeks?
Yep.
Maybe next week actually. Let me check real quick before because we got like a minute left.
Yeah. Because this has been such a wonky kind of scheduling for it. So
February 28th.
nice. Gotcha. Okay.
All right, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Thanks
So-
for watching.